What's happening, guys? Thank you for tuning in again. Welcome to another episode. In this one we have got quite a few things to do. What I plan on doing is getting all that suspension that we showed in the previous video. We're going to get it all mounted in. We're going to be changing both the front inner and outer bearings. We're going to be getting new brake rotors, new brake pads, new brake lines, everything new. So the car is going to be really happy afterwards, hopefully. And also we're going to give it a little test drive, of course, to see how things are going to roll. One thing I should apologize for. I spent about 30 minutes I had about 15 minutes of footage that I lost. Unfortunately, it was all to do with the rear suspension. I had BC Racing coils in the back, adjustable with adjustable spring perches, and I had the KYB AGX rear shocks. Just real quick, those are actually for a Camaro 93 through a 2002 Pontiac Firebird, or a Chevrolet Camaro. The rear shocks, they're shorter than the AE86 shocks, so you can just get those, and they end up being a little bit cheaper, or they end up being cheaper than the AE86 version. Well, anyways, they are KYB AGX, fully adjustable, just like on the fronts, so they match well. Unfortunately, I lost that footage, so I apologize again. Basically, real easy stuff. Nothing different from the OEM installation. Just that, just the adjustable spring purchase is different. But yeah, I still hate that I lost it, because I always say that I try to show everything, and this time I wasn't able to do that. I don't know what happened. I had it all set up, I had it all edited out and ready to go, and then I opened up my folder and it's missing. So I don't know. For enough boring you guys. Let's go ahead and get things rolling. And again, thank you for being here, and hopefully you guys will enjoy. Thank you. Alright, we're going to take this hub here, AE86 hub, and we're going to replace all the bearings and the seals, everything, basically rebuild the whole thing. So first thing we need to do is remove the old bearings. There's two, there's one, that one's pretty easy, obviously, it just comes right out. Oh, and we're going to replace the races as well. Here's the seal. Let me get that out real quick. Basically, I'm just taking this and I'm prying, but I'm also twisting it like this, because if you pry it, you're just going to hit it back down here. You're not going to get anywhere. So here we go. There that is, comes right out there. The bearing, that's the inner bearing right there. These bearings were moving pretty good, but I decided, since I had the hub off, I would go ahead and just change it anyways. Now the hardest part is the races inside here, because you got to pound them out. So let me start with the one on the bottom. If you look down in here, we're going to be removing this race right here, and you got to pound it out from this side. There's some space where you can actually, let me show you this one. you see how there's a notch on the top and bottom here? That's where you hit the race out. Same with on the other side. See that notch? Top and bottom. And so you just got to find those notches with your screwdriver. Like right here. There's one. And the other one is exactly opposite. So it's hard to see with all the grease, but just don't pound on the actual hub, because you don't want to damage your hub. So it's going to take some convincing too. So okay, it's coming a little bit, so just keep at it. Just about done. Okay, and there it is. Here it is. Okay, now do the same exact thing for the other side. So we'll flip it over. Alright, so what we're going to do first is install the races, and for that I have a bearing and race and seal driver set. Again, free rental here. So let's see, we're going to do the this is the outer bearing first. Goes like that. It's smaller. You can tell the difference. Sits in just like that. But what you want to do is find the correct size driver, which is this. Fits just like that. Let me go up another step just to make sure. Nope. Okay, so that's going to fit just like that, and basically all we're going to do is take your little kit here, unscrew it. This part sets in like this. Probably hand tight is all you need to do. Just like that, and then we're gonna just tap that in with a hammer. Nice and easy. Now as I'm tapping this in, I'm going to listen for the audible change that will happen as soon as the race seats in flush with the hub. All right, so listen for that.
Okay, you heard that? Heard how that changed a little bit. Now let me give it a couple more whacks. It's in there. Okay. Now the bearing will just sit just like that. But we're not going to do that just yet. Let's install the other race. Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to put a little grease on it, I guess, help it slide. Although there was some residual grease already on the in here, so I thought that would probably be enough. Just check it to make sure it's going straight down. Alright. Works like a charm. Feel in the back side, back here, feel that it's seated all the way. There it is, new races. Okay, and now that we've got our races in, what we need to do is the inner bearing here, you know, it has the sits on the race like that, but it also has a seal, an outer seal that goes like this. So we're going to install that, but first we need to grease up this bearing, and also inside the a little bit inside the hub. But it's important to grease this properly. I'm going to try that now. I haven't really done this in a while. I think it's been a long time since I've changed bearings out. But basically, you just want to kind of get some grease on your hand and glob it into the inside the rollers here. So I got some grease here. I'm using some red grease. And from here, just kind of take it with your hand. Just kind of rotate it around like this. The messier the better, really. You want to work it in as best as you can. I'm just going to take a glob here and just kind of put it inside in the walls. Rub it all around. And the tape goes taper down like this. That way it sits inside the race. Got our seal. Now we're just going to tap this in nice and lightly here. You don't want to pound it in, you just want to ideally, you want it to go in at the same. I've got new brake rotors. Remember to use your brake pressure cleaner on it to take off the storing residue that's on the brake. Alrighty. Now, in order to torque this spindle nut here, basically what we're going to do is tighten it up to kind of like preload the bearings. So you tighten it more than what you need to. Okay. Make sure there's no back and forth, no play in it this way. And all right, so that's not bad there. Okay, now, but you don't want to leave it like this. What you want to do, what that does is preloads the bearings. Now we're gonna take the nut off, loosen it just a little bit, and now you want to just go hand tight, or a little bit more than hand tight. So I'll go like that. And since I got small hands, I'm going to go just a little bit like that. There's no play in it this way. Check your washer there. It's important not to have this too tight because you'll screw your bearings up if you do that. Little, whatever you want to call this thing. What it does is it holds your nut there, so it won't turn. And it works in conjunction with the cotter pin, so that slips over the nut, right? So where it won't move, and then you slide the cotter pin in like this, and now that cotter pin is holding the little legs on that little, whatever that star deal is, so that way your nut won't come loose, you know, as you're driving down the road, because it's not torqued down real tight or anything like that. So this is a critical piece, so make sure you have that. Alright, now we're going to install this little cap. Alright, looks good. Alright, finally my parts came in that I've been waiting so long for. basically is just a bushing kit for the calipers. But the one down here fits like this, and this one, it looks good. The one I'm not too crazy about is this one up here. I shouldn't have painted this, but I think it'll be all right. It doesn't really fit in there very well, so I'm just going to leave this one in, and I'm replacing the bottom one here. First, I'm going to compress the piston just a little bit, because I got new pads and everything going in. I painted these calipers, but brake fluid got all on them and kind of messed them up, but oh well. Let's see. Oh no, he's hanging it from the brake line. Well, I'm going to replace the brake line, so these are pretty much trash. I'll show you in just a second. Well, let's see, okay. Let's go ahead and put this in. Work it through. These guys are pretty tough, so don't have to worry too much about hurting them. All right. Now, I got some brake caliper grease. Basically, it just goes on any metal areas. So here's the little pin. Go ahead and grease it. It's kind of like a blue. Just lightly grease it. Go ahead and set this through. I haven't disconnected the caliper from the brake line because I didn't want all my brake fluid to leak out while I'm doing this, so I'm gonna try to leave it connected, and then there we go. And then I'll change the brake line at the very end. All right, just make sure they're in the rubber parts in that groove. I got grease all up on this pin inside. Seems to be coming off with the rubber. Okay, there we go. We get our bolt here. Now, you got your old pads here. They had a lot of meat left on them, but I went ahead and I decided I was going to change them anyway, just because they're nasty. But if you're wondering, they are different. There's an inner and outer. Of course, you know, Toyota, they got to make things complicated, so you match them up best you can. And if you look, which one goes on the inner, you can see on the old one the piston mark right there, so you know that one goes on is the inner pad, and then this one is the outer pad here. It's a little tip. So let's see here. Alright, now we're going to take this nasty brake line that has got lots of damage on it, and we're going to replace it with this nice shiny new one. Break this free first, then on the top, Found this. Use this to plug the brake line. It'll still drip a little bit, but not so fast. Alright, now for our new brake line, go ahead and install this first. Through. Like that. So you want to get, because the C-clip's going to go on the bottom and this slide thing is going to go on the top to secure that brake line in place. You get our other side of the clip. It's going to go on the top part like that. Alright, the same thing goes for this middle part. The C-clip is already in there. Just go on the back side here. Alright, here it is, guys and gals. We got everything set up. We got the new brake lines in. New brake pads. Brake rotors, new bearings in and out, all this new suspension stuff, new grease obviously, and I think we're about ready to do this. So without further delay, let me go ahead and let's lower this down, put the rims on, lower it down, and see what kind of mess we made here. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. Look at that. It might even go down more, but I chickened out. Well, that's way too low for me, so I am not about that low life, because I like to be able to daily drive my car. So let's jack this thing back up and adjust it a little bit, and maybe we'll have better results. Okay, round two. Let's try this again. That's a little bit better. It's still pretty low though. Looks like I might rub if I hit a bump anyway, turning and hitting a bump. Don't know. I think I'm going to raise it just a little bit more. All right, round 3. I think that looks pretty good. It's a nice height. Springs are going to settle a little bit too, so I'll probably have to readjust it. But yeah, definitely looks a little bit looks more sporty. All right, we got the new suspension set up. The ride height is pretty good, I think. I'm gonna test it out now and see how it goes. Car feels good as always. Right now the car feels really nice. It's a lot better than before. With just this, with the factory blown suspension. Let's drive it around a little bit.
Still making a noise.
Not as bad. It's more of on a rebound.
That's weird.
Got a kind of a clunking noise. Kind of really hard. It's coming from the front suspension, I guess, somewhere. I don't know. That one kind of felt like it was coming from the back. What do you think?
Let's see.
The front?
It sounded like it was right up here.
Really?
To me.
Okay. But as far as how the car feels, it feels a lot better than before. Not like riding on not like trying to maneuver a boat around or something.
stop recording for a minute?
Oops. Here.
Oh, that was the back then.
Sounds funny. Sounds like I got an exhaust leak or something. Hear that? What is that? Feel it in my Can you hear it? Does it sound different?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something. It's like it doesn't have as much power or something. Hopefully that cop didn't step up here. Sometimes they'll hide out inside, waiting for somebody. What's wrong with that engine? Something's wrong with the engine. The engine or the transmission?
Anything you want to say?
Figure out what the heck. Why does it sound like a lawnmower? Alright, well, there you have it, guys. As you saw in the test drive video, by the way, that was my dad helping me out there. He was in town, so both my parents were in town, so I figured why not take him on the test drive, be the cameraman this time. Well, as you saw, whenever I was going over really harsh bumps, you could hear a kind of a clunking noise. Sometimes it would come from the front, and sometimes it would come from the back. It looks like I'm thinking the car is not low enough to where the suspension will, the shocks will be at their sweet spot. I guess you could say. So, but I'm just taking a guess here. So you guys let me know what you think and what you know from the sounds that you heard. As far as the suspension goes, it felt pretty good. I don't know. I'm going to try to lower it just a little bit more and see how that will affect the clunking noises. But and the other thing was that the noise I could have lived with. I would have been just fine with. But unfortunately, right before when I was going to turn around in the video, right about at this time, I'll put it up on the screen here. It sounded different, and it felt like maybe I had lost some power. I was thinking exhaust leak, you know, and I was also thinking, you know, something internally in the engine, which obviously we don't want that to happen. So hopefully it's just something real simple. Anyways, with the and also with the noise, the strange engine noise, it felt like it gets obviously it gets worse when you press the accelerator. If you saw right at the end of the driving video, my dad stuck the camera outside of the car, and as I was going around the corner, you can't really hear it, but when I accelerated, you can hear it more substantially. So, and also when after we pulled into the garage, and I went down to the side, like it sounds like it's coming from where the catalytic converter is sitting. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video, and hopefully soon we'll be moving on once we get everything situated, and we're going to be putting the bumpers on, and so that'll be a pretty fun episode. I'm going to go through everything, you know, from fiberglassing the metal into the bumper, and then welding it to the main mounts on the front of the bumper and the rear of the bumper. So it's going to be pretty in depth. I'm pretty excited about it. We'll see you soon. Thank you.